the world's tiniest boutiques with KOLLECTIN.
Welcome to Girl Influence Power Podcast. I'm your host, Nadia Lee, entrepreneur, jewelry designer, CEO, co-founder of KOLLECTIN, an app that lets you shop influencer and designer label direct from the source. Thank you for tuning in live on Castbox. This episode is brought to you by KOLLECTIN, shop the world's tiniest boutiques in partnership with Castbox. Okay, today my guest is Kiki Wongo and Kaila Yu, author, food and travel writers, musician, social media influencer with a combined following of over 1 million followers. And most importantly, they are entrepreneurs. Welcome, Kiki and Kaila.
Hi, thanks for having us.
All right. So both Kiki and Kaila had their start in Hollywood as an all-Asian girl rock band, Nylon Pink. Together, they tour the world and share their passion for travel, food, and music. Most recently, Kiki and Kaila co-authored a travel book together. This book is currently available on Amazon, and the title is 30-Day Travel Challenge, How to Make Your Travel Dreams a Reality. So welcome again. You ladies are beautiful today. Makeup ready, camera ready, podcast ready.
Podcast ready.
Thank you for being my guest on my very fresh new podcast. Anyway, the careers that you both ladies have are amazing. So let's just dive right in and tell us a little bit about your journey on becoming who you are today and how you're able to do it all. Because I know you've wear so many hats and you guys literally know everyone in this influencer world. So let's kind of jump right in. So how did you guys end up in the same rock band? And is that how you guys met each other?
I think I've never brought this up to you, but me and my other bandmate used to have a jewelry line.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've never brought that up for
What kind of jewelry?
It was like, you know, when that acrylic was really in style, it was like
right,
Stephen
right.
Sheen was really big.
Yeah.
So it was during that time. And then, by the way, Stephen Sheen, I don't know if you remember him. He had the most amazing stuff. And then Forever 21 came and overnight copied everything and just like took him down. Yeah.
This must be a decade ago, maybe, when they were coming up, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember I was kind of like just not new, but like, yeah, in the industry and coming up together with all the retailers kind of just going really strong. And that was really my client base at the time, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had this jewelry line and we were doing a shoot and we cast some models and she was one of the models. And that was all fine. She was an amazing model. But later when I was looking on her page, it said that she was like this metal guitarist. And I was like, really? Is she like really actually a metal guitarist? And is she any good? And we were having problems with our other guitarists at that time anyways. So we kind of just like asked her to come and meet with us, and she was amazing. So
So Kiki, is that always what you wanted to do, as the guitarist?
Actually, it was crazy because I was in the process of going to school, you know, following that very straight and narrow path of being a doctor. And I was like, oh, you know, I was just trying to model on the side to get extra cash. And that the fact that they had reached out to me was like the most incredible thing. I was like, oh, cool. Like I can finally play music again, because I played in high school and like little bands here and there. But yeah, it was like a pretty pivotal moment, I think. You know, having this passion that I had is like basically stifled and I didn't even focus on at all. I really didn't play at all until they hit me up in like my junior year of college. So it definitely was a sort of like this beacon of light in a very boring life. I was trying to basically be a doctor. Like going,
you're a pre-med, right?
Yeah,
pre-med.
and I was like taking like 19 units and like working 22 hours for a medical office, and it was like just dying basically. And then I was like, oh, rock band, definitely. So it was pretty cool.
What's the coincidence that both of you guys have like a biology pre-med education?
oh, not me.
Didn't you have something at UCSD, or what was your first major then?
I started off bio for maybe like 2 months.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to econ, and then I like practically flunked out of UCSD because I was raving, and then I went to UCLA, and then I majored in Asian American Studies, which is the easiest major you can think of.
No, actually, I took that too in college. I actually learned a lot about my heritage.
Yeah, it's very
right. Because, we grew up here as a very young child, immigrants here. And then I never really got to know the history of my heritage. So Asian American classes, I took it at Pomona College at the time. I was like, wow, I didn't know so much about China, about Taiwan, about Asian countries. So yeah, it was kind of nice. Okay, so you guys both are Asian parents. Were they strict?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how did they respond to the whole rock band thing?
My parents were not having it. They thought it was a phase. I went through a ton of phases throughout high school. Let's be like, I was I did all of what I was supposed to do. So I did the studying, I did everything, right. But I also had this terrible rebellious streak of trying to be like prove something. And so when they found out I was joining the band, they thought, okay, it's just a phase.
Right.
And then when I actually did end up doing it, they were not too happy about it. but after they saw that, things ended up really working out and, as they saw the successes, they became more open to it. And,
oh, that's nice.
But at first it was difficult.
What about you, Kaila?
I started breaking my mom down when I was 15. I was very rebellious. I was like the perfect kid. And then I just met this bad girl in high school. And then we started hanging around with all the Asian, I'm from Upland. So then when we started hanging out with the Asian gangsters in Hacienda Heights and thought we were so cool. And yeah. So
they didn't take it so well.
Rebellious from that point on, but we're good now.
Okay. So what was your turning point to move from UCSD to UCLA and then major in business or Asian American studies?
Well, I hated UCSD. I'm just not meant to be in San Diego. It's not even San Diego. It's La Jolla. So La Jolla is really a retirement community. And I think I always had kind of an entertainment focus.
Right.
I only went to college because that was what was expected of me.
Right.
And then even then, when I was doing really poorly at UCSD and knew I was going to move to LA to do entertainment stuff, I still knew I had to finish college because it was so ingrained in me since I was so young. So, I just went to have it and satisfy my mother.
That's true. Yeah. I think that's the Asian core, right? I think the Asian parents do really instill that in you. So when you guys started in the rock band, it's like Asian girls in Hollywood. Was that hard?
I haven't experienced a lot of racism, but I would say with us being all Asian, it really gave us an advantage because the people who wanted us, we were so niche that we had that niche audience. So yeah, MTV wasn't booking us, but then we were traveling all around to play at the anime conventions really took on to it. And they have decent enough budgets. And then in music, what I really discovered I hated was touring, which is playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That was too much for me. But I love playing a one-off show where they fly you in and you play one show and then you hang out.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What about you? What was the plus and minus of being in the rock band?
The music industry is a crazy place. It's so it's a lot of knowing the right people and playing your cards right. I think there's a lot of talented musicians that don't get the spotlight and vice versa. And it's tricky being, I think, female and Asian. Well, fortunately, I noticed this because I played in the band with Nylon Pink with Kaila, and then I also played in a all-girl band that was in a punk rock scene that was put together by the Misfits. And with Kaila and us, I felt like we had unity and we had the project. It was our project. We had full control over it. And we got to choose areas that worked for us. And then I think me as a singular person, as a musician, sort of just by myself as an Asian woman was really, really difficult because people don't take you seriously. They don't see, even if I walk into an audition, they're like, oh, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, come on. Like, you haven't even given me a chance. And there are some definite struggles. Also, for me, I'm like an Asian woman that wants to play like heavy metal, and most people are really confused by it. It's a confusing thing. I totally get it. Like, I don't look the part at all, but I think that's like, if you go in with enough gusto and force, and you really just push your way through and ignore the haters, and find a really core group of people that support you and have the same vision as you. I think that's the most important thing when you're endeavoring in creative projects like music.
Right. Because you're in the public eye.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And there's all kinds of weird stuff. The funniest one was we put out a music video on YouTube, and that was kind of like what got us like our claim to fame. And we had to it was just our first thing. So we didn't know, like, we just tried it, and it went relatively viral at the time. But then unfortunately one person planted the negative seed and said that we were all, like lady boys, I guess. And then it like propagated. But I mean, also like simultaneously with those, other negative connotations comes like positive. Like, so you had people actually supporting us and backing us up. And, it was interesting to see that and like how it affected socially too.
Okay.
So.
And because there's a lot of haters on that social media, especially.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how do you deal with all of that?
I never read the comments, but she tells me what the comments are.
Yeah, I read the comments.
Telling me like every ladyboy comment.
I will say that was probably one of the best pieces of advice from Kaila, because I didn't know anything, and she was more versed with social media at the time. So she's like, stay away from the comments, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, it's kind of like one of these things where you're like peeking through your fingers, and you're like, you
can't resist.
And I'm like, and I'm like, man, I shouldn't have read those comments
because you can't get it out of your head.
Yeah, then it's there.
Right? Yeah, because it affects you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But even beyond that, I think that it's so important to just build that, like, not giving a fuck what anybody thinks about anything you do. Like, we speak really candidly about like past addictions and past issues, so that people don't feel shy about speaking about themselves and being honest.
Right. No, because being honest and sharing the story is how you get the word out to help other people and to, inspire other women. Yeah. So no, that's amazing.
Sorry, are we not allowed to say profanity?
No, we can.
Okay.
We can say profanity. I think we can. I think we just have a little E sign next to our podcast. That's all for explicit. I think that's all it is.
Well, you know what they used to do with music CDs? They found that when they put the explicit label on it, it actually increased the sales of CDs. Yeah. Back in the day when CDs were sold.
Interesting.
Okay, so how, like, being in a rock band must be a lot of financial struggles. It's like fitting in all the cars. How do you deal with that? Like, starting up, this is your passion, you're going all out for it, but financially it's tough. Like, how do you deal with these moments?
Oh man,
That's how we learned how to hustle. That's why I guess we ended up learning and doing many different things, because as a musician, you're not really making money from the music, not enough to sustain yourself. So you have to be like, I was throwing events, you were working at different social media clients. Yeah. So we just hustled.
I definitely think that was probably one of the most valuable things that we learned too, because like I was working at the hospital and we got offered a tour in China, and they're like, I told my boss and they were like, well, you can go on the tour in China, but you don't expect to come back to this job. And so I was like, and then I just like quit on the spot, went to the tour. The tour ended up getting canceled, but which is, that's just how it is. But the good thing about it was like, Kaila gave me an opportunity to work with a company called Raw Artist, which is a completely different facet of work. And it sort of forces you to try different areas of work that you never would have thought, because, at a young age, you're told, okay, this is the path you take. These are the classes you take to get to this next stepping point, and then you develop into someone else. But if it weren't for that opportunity, I would have never even delved into something like events production or social media, which out of the events production, I realized that social media was probably more of my strong point. But the hustle in itself, I think, gave us that opportunity to expand.
Because I think we need to. And this kind of world where it's like, you need to do everything, especially on social media. Like you can't just
keeps coming out every day.
You gotta, and you have to be quick at it, and you have to be first one to it because you never know which one will take off.
You
right?
just do it a little bit just in case.
Just exactly. No, seriously, who would have guessed? TikTok is so huge right now too.
We're like we've been exploring it.
I know you have to. I think with this, I mean, not only do you have to, build all sorts of skills, you now have to build a community, so you have support. So is there any, are you a very positive person, or, I mean, how do you guys deal with all the stress of going, this inconsistency?
I think life now is so much easier than being in a band. So everything now is like gravy. It's like, this is great. We travel. I don't have to get on stage and perform. It's great. So anything now, the hustle, I feel like is easier than being a musician.
Okay.
So I feel like that was like boot camp for us.
People pay you to travel nowadays, right?
Yeah. I always say I don't have to sing for my summer anymore.
Which is nice. So what do you think works for social media? Is it the quality or the quantity of content? Because I know you ladies create a lot of content.
I definitely think that it's a combination of both. Obviously, you have to have I think consistency should probably be thrown in there because you can have a lot of content and you can put a lot of feelers out, but you also need to be consistent with your brand. And it has to be high quality content for people to pay attention. And you also have to make sure that you're always letting people know that you exist.
That's true.
Because people will forget.
Right. And there's so many people coming up, so many outlets. It's really hard to touch everybody.
Yeah.
And I think it's important nowadays with all this technology. We need to touch people either through our voice, through our photos, through our videos. What do you think is most effective? Video, photos, videos. Right now, everything is going towards videos. Right?
Yeah, I think that's the future.
Right, I agree, definitely. And voice too. I think is because people need to hear you to connect with you.
Yeah, I don't listen to music anymore. I listen strictly to podcasts. It might be because I'm older. I'm not in my 20s. So, but. Yeah, I feel like podcasts are also
Podcast is taking off right now. It's and it's a great time for women doing podcasts. So yeah, if you ever want to do a podcast, I was only on one podcast, and the next thing you know, I have a host.
That's awesome.
Oh, you have another one?
No. I was on as a guest. One time, I'm like, wow, this is cool. I'll be a host. So you never know. Okay, so you guys are authors as well. Let's talk about a little bit about your book, your 30-day travel challenge. Take us through the process. It's a huge commitment. Tell us more about it.
Go ahead.
Well, basically, we've had all these travel experiences together as a band, and we wanted to basically give information out to people who believe that travel wasn't attainable in their own lives. So a lot of the times there are limiting travel beliefs that prevent people from doing things like, it's too expensive to travel. It's, it takes too much time, or they just don't even know where to go or how to do it.
Right.
But we basically put up all of our knowledge and all of our information and gave it out to the world to first let them know that they can do it, and second, be able to have the tools to actually book their dreams.
Wow. Yeah, that's nice. Any other things to add, Kaila?
I also really love a 30-day challenge. I feel like you can really change your life in 30 days, whether it be a 30-day workout challenge, 30-day juicing challenge. So we wanted to apply it to travel also. So it's digestible, not just throwing all this knowledge at once, but we break it all into a different day. So each day has a focus. And then we're kind of available for feedback to the different readers.
So that's nice. So you guys travel a lot. So what is your favorite travel destination so far?
For me, I have to say definitely Asia, and then on top of that, Taiwan just because that's my roots. And then Vietnam surprised me. I really, really loved Vietnam.
Yeah, no, I heard the food is amazing.
Yeah.
And the people are very warm. I've never been. I want to. It's on one of my list.
Yeah.
When I get some time off. What about you?
Oh gosh. I think one of the most educational experience was definitely going to India, because that was probably one of the places that I had least or the least amount of knowledge of that country. And so it was the most eye-opening and most interesting in that sense. But my favorite place to go to, ooh, that's tricky. I think definitely anywhere in Asia. I'm dying to go to Southeast Asia, I think, because I've never really touched into that area. So I would like to go like all across and just kind of see it all. Maybe not all at once, but eventually it's.
Do you want to trek it like backpack through, or you want to like a luxury through it? It's a big difference.
It's so funny, actually. Both of us are, which makes it great. I think that's like our like travel relationship. I definitely like to do things that are more like rugged, I'd say. And she is really into the wellness. And we both into wellness in that sense. Right. But so I think it's really, really cool that we have those.
She doesn't even like to get massages.
Oh, really?
Oh,
what?
Will not.
You're an Asian.
I know. No, my mom, she used to like try to rub me, and I'm like, like it gets like you know, that tingly, like if the exclamation marks were coming out of my head. That's
I
how
could do a massage like 3 times a day, every day for the rest of my life.
That would be my living hell.
I'm right there with you. As you get older, you need those massages. Maybe we could start you off with like a foot massage. Have you tried the Asian foot massage?
See, even when I don't know what it is with my psychology, but even if I go get my nails done, I get nervous. Like I just feel weird. I'm like, whoa, like if I get my hair cut, I'm like, how long is this going to take? I'm like, I have to mentally prepare myself for it, you know?
Oh, that's funny. Is there any wish list that you want to go that you haven't, or you know?
Everywhere we haven't been. Yeah.
Are you guys a big Europe?
I'll go. But I'd much rather go to Asia.
Asia.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll go for a little quick break and we'll be back in just a moment.
Now you can try before you buy on KOLLECTIN. Introducing Experience, the new way to shop jewelry. Flaunt your style and express your creativity with experience. Get it today, only on KOLLECTIN.
Yeah, in the influencer world. So if you guys are out there, follow them. I'll give you guys the handles afterward. Okay, besides your family, do you have any female role models that, that influence you to be who you are today?
Besides family.
I had to change that because I realized
everybody says their mom.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but I throw you a curveball there.
That is a curveball.
Okay, I want to say somebody who I'm inspired by, but yet not at the same time. Like Angelina Jolie, I love as an actress. She's bold. She doesn't care what anybody thinks, but she is also a husband stealer. So there's that. But I admire the beginning of her career. All right. I think it's inspirational.
And you?
Oh my gosh, that is so tricky. That's one thing that I've always never had. I kind of was like a emotionless child. It was the weirdest thing. I couldn't cry. I wished I could have cried in movies forever, and I just couldn't. And then I also never had idols necessarily, but they were more like, I guess I didn't have a lot of female idols. I had a lot of like metal guitars.
Right. Well, that's fine.
But they have long hair. So
Right. No, because everyone's experience is different. Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't have. That's also an answer.
I think kind of the reason is there were no Asian role models growing up.
I agree.
There's really nobody. In fact, in high school, I looked up to a Playboy model, Sung Hee Lee, because she was the only female
agree.
sexy
Yes.
role model out there.
That's true.
Now, they have all these different fashion influencers. Now we have these actresses, but that's all we had.
That's true. I mean, even now it's still very few in the entertainment industry, right? So for all the listeners out there, this term influencer is thrown around a lot. So what does this term influencer mean to you now that you're in the influencing world?
I think influence, that term has actually become, it's evolved, changed, plateaued, and morphed, and within the matter of like the course of 4 years.
I agree.
And it's insane. I think now, like before, influencers were people that could create polished content that had a very, uniform looking feed and had like those types of, super high photography. And I think that have kind of peaked to plateaued and now it's turning into things that people can connect with. And I think now evolving even more is the education realm. So where you're giving out information and trying to teach people and, with all the courses and stuff. So I think influence is, at this point in time, is how you can create education, information, and give value back to your audience. And I think a lot of influencers who are maybe still stuck in phase one are struggling with it because they're not able to either create a business out of their influence or, move forward from the original content. But I think ultimately influence, in my perspective, would be gauged by how much you can give back and how much value you can give back to people who follow you.
Right. And how about you, Kaila?
I would say a true influencer is someone whose audience follows them from all platforms. We see a lot of Instagram influencers, but then they start a YouTube channel and their following does not follow them there. So I'd say that's not true influence. I'm curious to see what happens when Instagram dies, which it inevitably will go down and be taken over by somebody else at some point. But in short, I think an influencer is just someone who has an audience, who is engaged and believes in what they say.
Right. So now you're seeing this big change in the influencing world. Just like you said, over the last 4 years, it changed quite a bit. So what advice would you give like a starting influencer? Because back in the days, I'm actually not even very long ago, like a year or two, you could get a lot of paid per post and huge brand deals thrown at you as a micro influencer. But those are pretty much done and gone with, and it's very difficult to compete. I mean, what kind of advice would you give a starter?
We always say start your own blog because then you own your audience. You can collect emails and you'll always be able to touch them directly.
Right.
You don't want to have your audience live on a platform you don't own. That could be taken over. What if your account gets hacked and you can't get it back? Then your audience simply cannot find you again.
That's true. That's very, very true.
And a website's so easy to start now. I would just start a website and start collecting email addresses immediately.
Right. Okay.
And you can monetize your blog too.
Yeah, that's true. That's just sponsors, ads, right? You could sell products in there.
Yeah.
All right. And how about you?
I think if for people that are starting out, they need to really know that not everyone can be an influencer. I know it's a sort of a negative mindset, but almost use it, I guess, as fuel for you to work that much harder. Not everyone can be an influencer, but also if you are and really target what it is that makes you special.
Right.
There's tons of people who are, are very generalized, but if you have a very specific skill set or a very specific advantage in giving information and value to people, utilize it, and also research your target audience, know exactly who they are, know the demographics, know when they're on, when they're off, and know down to like the age group or what they're searching, and really utilize that type of information and make sure that your information caters to them, because a lot of the times us as influencers, we're so focused on ourselves that we want to create content that's related to our own selves,
Right.
but ultimately you're creating content for your viewers. So
Right,
you need to
right.
make sure that it aligns.
Right, true. And then being an influencer gets a lot of bad press. People think it's so easy, but I know you ladies work so hard. I mean, can you share a little bit how hard you guys work, how much posts you have to do? I mean, how much time you spend all the time on producing content or connecting with your audience?
Yeah, I guess for us, we don't consider ourselves influencers. We have like some influence, but we're more about kind of creating content that lasts. Instead of like a photo that goes away, we want to create evergreen content.
Right.
So we're about writing blog posts or creating videos. But as in what else we're doing a little bit of like PR, social media, and writing and some TV expert spots.
Oh, okay. How about you? Anything else to add to that?
I forgot the question. Oh my gosh.
Is it hard being an influencer?
Oh yes. Yeah, definitely. And it's tough. There's a lot of competition out there, and as people are starting to understand how in this world of like this new market was essentially built, it becomes more competitive.
Right.
And now sponsored posts are a dime a dozen, and it's
Right.
actually becoming more difficult to do a sponsored post because people's content are like 70-80% sponsored posts. And
Yeah,
then,
that's
people are,
true.
the efficacy of a sponsored post is becoming diluted. The entire market for it, because, say company A says, well, I want to do sponsored posts. And they say, well, I charge this amount. It says, well, we'll just go get, this
Someone
person
else,
who's
yeah.
going to do it for free. So those types of things are making it really, really difficult.
Right.
But I think it just gives an opportunity for us to essentially evolve and change and figure out a different way to interact with our audience.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but
So is it hard working with a brand? Like if you have to negotiate every deal, or, I mean, any tips or on how to deal with brands or sponsors?
Well, we teach two different techniques that we have. One's like the sniper technique and one's the shotgun or machine gun. I can't remember. But shotgun being where you really, really target the brands that you're going after and really feel like they align with your vision.
Right.
That can be more time consuming though. The other technique, the machine gun, is where you just like put it out there and
just
contact
random,
everybody.
right.
Yeah. But as in how to work with brands, I would say we have this technique called newsjacking that we use for pitching to editors and TV producers, but you can also use this as working with a brand.
Right.
So for example, earlier on this year, there was a brand that we were working with who had the color was coral, and Pantone's color of the year was coral this year.
Right.
So we kind of like made a pitch that was connected those two. So they hadn't seen something as thought out as that
Right,
before.
right.
So I would say take the extra step and don't just be like, oh, look at my Instagram. It looks like your brand. Let's collaborate.
Right,
Like what
right.
story are you telling?
Right. So do a little bit of thinking out of the box and do a
Yeah.
little bit thinking on behalf of the brand, because your
Yeah.
brands are getting a lot of proposals, especially the big ones, a dime a dozen, right? That they feel like, oh, everyone's asking me for a partnership. Okay. Is there anything that you're doing that you're really excited about right now?
We're kind of speaking a lot more. So I'm speaking on travel sustainability
Right.
and then also about wellness travel, which is a passion of ours. So I'm kind of just speaking at different colleges and conferences and just trying to, because travel, can be very unsustainable.
Right.
But with some quick, changes to how you travel, you could reduce your impact.
That's true. That's true. And how do you like speaking so far?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. We do it as a duo, so it's much like
Oh, really?
Yeah,
the two of you go sprawl the
Yeah.
okay,
It's
It's
speaking.
a lot easier, especially since there's like, if you have a 20-minute presentation, then it's only 10 minutes. But I think it's been it's been really fun being able to speak because, you know, you're able to connect with audience in person too. So a lot of the times, you know, we do like online stuff or we're interacting behind a screen, but when you actually get to go and meet people and meet who you're talking to and have a face to the name, I think it really, it makes a different impact, and it's a little bit more hands-on and more fun.
Right. So. It builds a little community.
Yeah.
So you ladies have a little community going on.
We're trying.
How does that help? Like, what do you think? I mean, people always think that social media just comes about just, you know, posting pictures, but it really comes about from a community of people working together. So what's your view on community and how important that is with social media?
I think it's the most important thing because people, especially in this world of social media, are feeling kind of separated as compared to before, and they have less like actual communities. So to be able to bring people around, people like to be part of something.
Yeah.
So if you have something to teach that, or if you're a brand and you can build a following. I'm trying to think of example. There was like this legging brand. I can't remember what they were called, but they had a community. And
Black milk.
Yes, yeah. People will like buy every single new design of theirs and call themselves. Didn't they have a name for themselves? Like, yeah.
So they become super loyal fans.
Yeah, super
because they
fans.
trust and they trust the community behind
Absolutely.
it. No, it's true. I think that's really the key, and I think that's really hard to explain to people. But
But those, whatever they're called, those fans of that legging brand will follow that legging brand to YouTube, to TikTok, to wherever the brand goes.
Right. So that's very important. Let's see. There's a lot of parallels in building up a rock band to building up a startup, like working with each other, you know, working with best friends, building a team. What advice can you give us, or maybe whatever you've experienced that you felt is, you know, important?
I think like you're not going to always get it right the first time. And it's important to know that and to know that it's tough. You're going to face a lot of difficult situations. Right. And I'm not trying to be negative, but when on those like lowest points, you find the people that really can truly help create something great. And it may not be the first round of people. Our band went through at least 6 different lineups or something like that. And like people left, it came back, all kinds of shenanigans. But like during those times of a struggle, that's when you work the hardest. And that's when you find people that, you know, you can trust. And I think that's the most important thing, is to really focus in on people you trust, focus in on people that can fill the holes in your team. Right. So, you know, if I hate emails, I cannot email or get on the phone. I just don't like it. She's a ninja. And so like, but I like technical stuff. So I will get on the computer and I'll sit there for 8 hours trying to build a website or something. So I think filling in those gaps is really important.
It's true. That's how teamworks work, especially in a startup now. I mean, you can't have one founder. I mean, you really should have multiple, because nobody could do everything on their own. Yeah. So how is it hard to work with each other? Like, you guys are so close, right? You guys once upon a time lived with each other, travel with each other.
Well, I'd say it's pretty easy because we're so different, and it's like everything I like to do, she doesn't like to do. Like, I am really obsessed and passionate about SEO, and then she doesn't like it, and I hate WordPress. I don't want to do anything that has to do with like website building, and she's into that. Right. And then plus I'm really type A, and like
I'm pretty type B.
Yeah.
I'm not like I don't like confrontation.
Okay, so you're more quiet behind the scenes, technical.
There's confrontation like here.
No, she's so awesome. I'll be like, someone emailed me. I'm just gonna send it to you. Like, I don't know what to say.
So do you guys think you guys are introverts or extroverts, or
I'm
both?
Definitely an introvert.
Same.
Yeah.
Really?
I hide it well.
I could turn it on for an hour.
Okay.
Then I'm in
it's
my
on
room.
demand. Well, I think that's actually very consistent with a lot of the entrepreneurs I've been interviewing that are women too. Like, they can turn it on when they need to, because they need to. And then when they don't need to, you know, they like to do the stuff they're really good at.
Yeah, I think it's the same with performers too. Yeah. They know how to turn it on and off.
So for new influencers, what advice would you give them in terms of creating content?
Test things and
Right.
see what other people are doing and just be really, really open-minded. I think
Right.
a lot of the times when you get really, really good at one platform, sometimes other influencers may not be as open to creating content on a new platform.
Right.
But you never know what the next Instagram is going to be.
That's
you just
true.
never know. And also just finding that very niche thing that you can do and that you do well, I think is the most important thing. A lot of the times you might think that this is what I'm like, this is what I want to be, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you are made to do in influence. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you, ladies. Oh, before I go, we have to we have to do the one last question. Why do you love collecting? Gotta do that one.
KOLLECTIN. The first day we came here and it was like angels singing with the
Magic.
music.
It was magic.
Yeah. I mean, the jewelry is really, really high quality.
Oh, thank
and
you.
yeah, every time you open your box and the selection is like so abundant. And I just love the ease of the app. And yeah, all my girlfriends are really passionate about it.
Is it helped you to create content using the tiny boutique?
Yeah, definitely. I like also the ease of like uploading your photos onto the app after you've shot it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
And the
we're making
experience is
changes
cool
all the
too.
time. So all the feedback, the
Yes.
more the better.
I honestly, KOLLECTIN literally changed the way that I do the entire fashion.
Wait, I have to give an example. When I had my jewelry line and she shot for us, we gave her, we were like, here, have some of the jewelry. And she was like, oh no, I don't wear jewelry.
It's a real thing. That's proof of the pudding. So I looked at photos of like I was just randomly going back on my
Right.
Instagram and looking at photos of my style before KOLLECTIN. And I was like, what the heck was I wearing? But after we came in on that meeting and we started getting like jewelry, and I started to realize, I was like, oh, you can piece things around jewelry, and it changed the way I saw how to pick clothing. So I definitely think it like really elevated. And now like when I pick my box, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I have outfits around those type of jewelry. So it was like completely life changing for my style for sure.
No, because actually that pair of earring and that necklace can make and change everything about it.
Everything. Day to night,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And then that photo, that's so important, when you take photos all the time.
yeah.
It's very important. But anyway. Well, thank you, ladies, always. Thank you, Kiki and Kaila, for joining us today and sharing your amazing stories and journey with us. You're both so inspirational. And for all the young women out there, you guys are doing great in social media, and entrepreneurship, and wow, doing so many things, so many things that it is really, really like the new economy right now. That is like the new gig economy. So for all of you listening, please follow Kiki and Kaila. These girls know everyone in LA. So this is a tidbit. There's a reason why I'm asking you to do this. Because they'll get you in on every event, everything that's happening. Follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Kiki Wongo, with the O after the Wong, and then at Kaila. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right.
Yeah,
Kaila Yu. And then also check out their travel website, nomelist.com. And don't forget, they do have that book on Amazon, the 30-Day Travel Challenge, How to Make Your Travel Dreams a Reality. And there you have it, Kiki and Kaila. Thank you for tuning in live today on Castbox.